Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. We're focused on talking to food and beverage brands that are on a mission to make the world better.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Firebelly Social Show, where we typically interview founders and leaders of food and beverage companies that are mission-driven. And today we have a special guest, a friend and a partner of Firebelly, Jim Hammerel from Xtropy Marketing. And Xtropy is a full funnel Google Ads agency. And they do amazing work. We work with them. We share several clients and we refer clients to each other. And Jim Hammerel is a great human being. And I always enjoy my conversations with him. He lives in Jackson, Wyoming with his two daughters. And he loves skiing and being outdoors. And he's just a gentleman and a great human. Welcome, Jim.
Hey, Duncan. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Jim, my man, we are going to get into all kinds of trouble today talking about Google Ads. And as you know, we talk about marketing and we talk about just, the food and beverage side of things and what founders go through and so on. And so, when founders of food and beverage companies are and their cohorts in marketing are making decisions, where do Google Ads fall in the big picture?
Most of the time Google falls at the very end. A lot of, especially new brands, they're trying to bring something to market. I think Google Ads is the last thing that they think of, because of where most people think that Google Ads resides at the sales funnel, which is at the bottom. If people are on Google typing in specific keywords, they already know what they're looking for. They're ready to pull the trigger. They have their wallets open. Which I think is a bit of a misconception. I don't think that a lot of people know that Google Ads has an entire suite of ad products that really attacks all phases of the sales funnel. And so I think it's always kind of an afterthought, Google Ads, but should probably be more of a forethought. So.
And you became an entrepreneur and started your company kind of by accident.
Yeah.
Tell us a
story. Crazy story. I was living in Lake Tahoe working for an international tour operator, and I was their database administrator. And we had this contract IT guy that would come in, and this will date me, but he used to come in and do server backups on tapes. And one day he came in with his hair on fire and he said, "I've got this client and she has a website and she's not getting any sales. You can help her, right?" And I said, Yeah, I'll help her. And, I went to Amazon and I bought 2 books, Search Engine Optimization for Dummies and Google AdWords for Dummies. And I went home and I read them all the weekend. And then I sat down with her the following week and I said, "Here's what I'm going to do for you." And we knocked it out of the park. And she started sharing my name with other people. And next thing you know, I had a little business going, moonlighting, and I was making more money at night than I was in the day. So I quit my day job. And that was 17 years ago, Duncan. That was a long time ago.
And here it is. You were 18 2 weeks ago, and now you've been in business for 18 years. I fucked up that joke anyway. I was trying to say that you look like you're 22, but anyway. So
I wish.
And Xtropy is a full funnel Google Ads company, a Google Ads ad agency. So what does that mean? What all do you guys do?
So Google's got a suite of products, ad products that they offer. A lot of people don't know that Google owns YouTube. So there's an entire ad platform on YouTube called TrueView Ads. We run all the video ads there. Google owns the largest display network on the planet called the Google Display Network. They have 4.5 million partner websites. So all the banner ads that you see that follow you across the internet, we manage all of those campaigns. We run Google Shopping campaigns. We run Google Search campaigns. We run Google Discovery, which shows up kind of on your news feed, on your phone, or in your Gmail inbox. We run Google App Install and App Event campaigns. So Google's got a whole bunch of ad products that a lot of people don't know about. And each one of them, I think, focuses on a different level of the sales funnel. And that's what we do.
And, of course, but I was just saying it as a matter of speech, but Google kind of dominates search. I mean, I know there are people that go to Yahoo and people that go to Bing and go to other places, but at the end of the day, no one says, let's Bing this, right? They just don't say that, or let's Yahoo this. Let's Google this, right? So Google dominates with search, and maybe that's the key difference between Google and let's say social media, right? Because people aren't going to Google to stumble around. They have is it fair to say that Google is a place filled with users that have intention?
Yeah, it's very intent driven on Google for sure. And so when we talk about Google ads, most people think of like you type in your keyword into google.com and all of a sudden you see ads at the top of the screen. Those search ads are 100% intent driven. People aren't just perusing around google.com looking for things. It's Google's job to get you out of google.com as quickly as possible. I think where a lot of people discover new brands, discover new products would be either on social through Firebelly or on some of Google's top funnel tactics like TrueView. Maybe they see a skippable 5-second video commercial on something new that they've never seen before. Or maybe they see a display ad as they're cruising through a news website or something like that, a media outlet that they're reading through. So yeah, there's not a lot of stumbling across things on google.com. People are ready to go. They know what they're looking for. They're trying to find solutions to their problems.
And to me, that is the beauty of the Google world, is that you have people that know exactly what they're looking for, or at least the category or the genre, right? So depending on how your keywords are set up, if you're doing organic work, you can find those people and then move them through the funnel. Or if you want to get there faster, and have a more predictable, consistent, immediate approach, you're going to run Google ads across all the categories that you talked about. Whereas with social media, it's essentially, while there is intention, but it's in terms of the ad world on social media, let's say Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest or any of the others, it is disruptive. So you're there to hang out with your friends and check out what they've been doing and look at either your news feed or your stories feed. And then something is going to interrupt you based on who you are and what you like and what your preferences are and so on and so forth.
Yeah. That's exactly it. I think that the two channels are certainly complementary to one another. It's really the social side thing that is introducing people to brands and making them aware that there are products or services out there that can really help them. And then I think that people follow up then by, hey, I didn't know this was an option for me. So then they start searching. And now they're at what we consider the consideration level of the funnel. They're thinking about it. They're looking at what other options are out there. And they start doing their research. And Google kind of enters the mix right there. And then after some research, then they're like, okay, I think I know what I want. I'm ready to pull the trigger. I'm going to go and buy. And Google search is also at the bottom of the funnel. So people are searching for companies by brand name, by product name, etc. And that's kind of where we fill in the niche at the bottom of the funnel.
And so, Jim, you do Xtropy does a couple different kinds of, client work. You have your end client, like you got some wine clients and some liquor clients. I know we share a salmon client. But then you also work with a lot of ad agencies or just marketing agencies, correct?
Yeah. Because we really focus and we're good at swinging one tool in the tool belt. We have a lot of agencies that reach out to us that partner with us because maybe that's not their expertise or they don't have the time or resources to build out that team internally. So they use us as a hired gun, so to speak, to come in and fill that niche.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned you got a wine client, a liquor client when we were talking before. So what kind of things does a beverage client do with Google? So let's say you're a marketing leader or a leader of a beverage brand. You're trying to figure out like what could I use Google to do?
For sure. A lot of our liquor brands, it's a crowded space to begin with. We worked with a couple brands that have either been in business for a long time and have kind of gotten lost, or they're new to market. They're brand new brands that really need some visibility and some exposure and an introduction to the consumer audience. And so we work with them to develop videos and creative assets like display ads that really help introduce the brand, what they stand for, what they're all about, something that speaks to the target audience. And we help build awareness around those. And then we're also setting up conversion tracking so that when people are visiting the website and buying, if it's a direct-to-consumer brand, we're able to capture all of that revenue data, determine what our return on ad spend is, and things of that nature, so that we can really hold ourselves accountable. If it's a larger play where maybe there's a larger distribution, people are buying this from retail chains and things of that nature, then really it's a kind of brand awareness. And so we're looking at things like brand lift, seeing how much it costs to lift one specific user. We can actually deliver surveys to people who have both been exposed to our ads and those who have not been exposed to our brands, and measure the differences between those people. And then we can start to attach dollar numbers to how much it costs to make one person more aware of a brand that we're representing. So
highly
fascinating stuff.
Highly specific, and you can really make some interesting projections on, you want to increase your share of voice, or you want to get to more people, and you can do it by geography, you can do it across like a number of different kind of criteria, correct?
Yeah. Alcohol specifically has got kind of a tangled web of distribution. Some states allow certain things, some liquor brands are not able to sell to certain states. So yeah, it becomes pretty complicated in terms of messaging to people in specific geographies versus not others. Same thing happens with like CPG brands as well. They can get placed in some retail stores and chains that may be in some geographic locations, but not others. So making sure that we're targeting people in specific regions and not others, and helping deliver a message that will help incite that purchase at a retail store is pretty important.
Yeah, I know our friends at Pride of Bristol Bay, the sustainable salmon brand that we both work with, who amazing stuff that they sell, great tasting stuff and great price. But they have these buying clubs, and so I know that we've targeted people around the buying clubs because they get their salmon actually delivered to them as opposed to mail or whatever, and you can target all that down to a great level of granularity.
Yeah, for sure. One of their buying clubs is here in my hometown of Jackson Hole. And so, we see their ads in addition to ours and to what you guys are doing on social, even in print and locally here in the newspaper. So we have to get down to that level of geographic targeting. So we can get all the way down to the zip code and make sure that the right people are seeing us.
And so this episode is brought to you by Firebelly Marketing, social media marketing agency that I founded that focuses on helping food and beverage brands get more awareness, get more engagement, get more website traffic, and more sales. And we've worked with some really big brands to help them do more with their marketing budget. And it's interesting when it comes to the work that Firebelly does and the work we do with social. Like when people say, "What do you do?" and I tell them, here's what we do. And the only overlap we have is with Google and with CRO people. And so because on the CRO side, we're looking for how can we make the call to actions better? How can we basically remove friction, right, to get better results? And on the Google side, depending on the client, it's like we're working to get in front of more people with Google, or we're trying to follow up with social, or we're trying to get in front of more people with social and follow up with Google. So it's interesting, right? How valuable, Jim, is this retargeting opportunity with Google?
We generate a lot of direct sales with remarketing. But that's going to change, Duncan. As I'm sure you've heard, third-party cookie deprecation in 2023, I think, is the impending doom on the digital world. It's going to be more and more difficult to remarket to people after 2023 when kind of everything shakes up. It's super important right now. We run remarketing campaigns for all of our clients. There are some people who are exposed or served one of our ads, and they get into our sales funnel. And then for whatever reason, because the phone just rang, or because the kids are screaming, or because someone just walked into their office, they're not able to complete that conversion. Sometimes they just need an extra reminder. And those remarketing ads, I think, are super important. You guys are running them on social channels, and I'm sure you guys have seen the same, but it's a great way to kind of make sure that you can close the loop with an intended buyer.
And Jim, are you predicting that these platforms will still give some users the ability to opt in to the retargeting, or will that not even be an option? Will Apple or someone like Apple say, hey, you know what, we care so much about user privacy that users can't even opt in to be retargeted?
Yeah, it's tough for me to trust anything when these platforms say it's all about user privacy. I think that we all know it's not. I think that we all know it's about money. But that being said, I think that in the future, everything's going to be either permission-based, like you mentioned, or it's going to be driven through email addresses. Email addresses, I think, in 2023 are going to be the currency of the internet. Marketers are going to be reaching people through email addresses, because now all of the major platforms are allowing customer match audiences. So you basically upload your list of email addresses for matching. And you can use those audiences really in three ways. You can either target those people with ads, you can target their lookalikes with ads, or you can exclude those people from ads. And so I think that as that kind of ecosystem and that offering from all the different ad platforms develops, I think everybody, all advertisers and marketers, will be doing everything that they possibly can do to collect and harvest those email addresses, not only from their customers, but from prospects. So as it pertains to consumer packaged good brands or, food and beverage brands, that's going to be difficult for them, right? They're going to need to start having relationships with their customers higher up in the sales funnel before they get to the grocery store to buy their product, or before they get to wherever they make that purchase. And so that's something that you and I as marketers need to start thinking about, is what can we do to start that relationship, essentially, with their customers sooner, and have that exchange of contact information so that those brands can go and target those people better. That's a nut that needs to be cracked.
So it's interesting because I know Snapchat's doing some interesting stuff with they call it advanced conversions, and basically leveraging advanced cryptographic techniques to measure aggregate conversion data without identifying any individual users. But that still brings up the question, right? Which is that you still got to opt in. Because if you're not opting in, you're not even going to be able to see it, right? And so,
that's right.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, even from an app privacy standpoint, right? When the app asks you to enable location capabilities, you can say once or always or never. So I think you're right. I think we're going to see what unrolls for all of us, right? Because and the other thing is that it doesn't mean that a lot of the other capabilities are going away. It's the some of the advanced targeting capabilities that will go away.
Yeah,
I should say some of the advanced retargeting capabilities.
Retargeting,
not the advanced targeting. The targeting will still remain.
Correct.
So I guess that's your prediction for today, is that we're going to have to actually do some marketing and some storytelling. Over the next couple of years. And so a good Google campaign isn't just a good Google campaign. It's a good Google campaign that also is utilizing YouTube and TrueView capabilities. I know one of my friends said to me recently, actually, I've told you this, I've got so many people that'll tell me, I was working out at the gym and I was, watching something on my device, and I was on YouTube, and suddenly a Firebelly ad popped up with you talking about why Firebelly does what Firebelly does, and I'm like, yes, Jim's company is getting us in front of the right people. But it's interesting because there's certainly capabilities for companies that want to spend the money and the effort and the time to look at advanced attribution, right? And say, okay, they saw my YouTube ad, for 15 seconds, and then they saw me on Twitter, and then they went to my website, and then they went to the location page, and then they looked at some reviews, and they can, these companies and these programs are able to say this is the percentage contribution, right?
Yeah.
But let's face it, most companies don't have that. And I think it's unlikely that most companies will have that in the next couple of years, right? So you still see, I guess, how many of your clients are saying based on the last touch, like, hey, we're cutting a program, or we're keeping a program based on the last touch. And you try as a knowledgeable marketer that you are, you try to tell them like, hey, what other stuff are you doing? Because this is great that you're doing this specific strategy, but does anyone know who you are? Is your product good? And is the offer relevant?
Yeah. All of our clients are using conversion attribution modeling that is not last click. The first thing that we do is get them off of last click, because we're working in Google, underneath Google's umbrella. All of their ad products, Google can attribute a portion of the conversion to. And so there's several different attribution models. One of the ones that we use is called position-based. And that really allows us to give I think it's 40% of the conversion credit to the first touch. What piqued their interest first? And that could be a TrueView video, that could be a display ad, that could be a discovery ad. And then we give another 40% of the conversion value to the last click. Basically, somebody came to Google and searched us for either their brand name or for a non-brand keyword, and then finally converted. And then the remaining 20% is attributed to any other touch point that happened between those two, the first initial outreach and the last click conversion. So yeah, it's difficult, but what it allows us to do is really paint that picture and say, hey, listen, TrueView generated this much conversion value over the course of this sale. It was the first thing to build that awareness. Then we followed up with a consideration tactic, and then people came to search to close out that conversion. And so at that point, when you can attribute the value of the conversion across multiple channels, then people can see that, and our clients can see that and say, oh, well, TrueView is generating revenue for us just indirectly. So yeah, it's really important. I wish that there was a way, and maybe at some point someone smarter than us, Duncan, will figure out a way to do this. But it would be great to have cross-channel attribution modeling where we can see, hey, somebody saw a Facebook feed ad, and then 2 weeks later came back to Google and converted. Facebook should get a portion of that value from the conversion, and Google should get a portion of that. And so we should be able to split it.
And there is the capability to do that. It's just not accessible. It's
not accessible
in terms of what it costs to roll it out. I mean, we had a client last year that was able to see that, and so it was interesting because of course we didn't know they had it, and so and until the second month we were working with them, it came out that they had it, and that was great because it really as a marketeer to know where your bang is coming from, because the thing is that it's not two-dimensional, right? It's always like multiple criteria. It's like they saw you here, they saw you there, so you can't really stop doing certain things. You just got to keep doing it. What's your, I guess, with all the different clients you work with, I'm going to ask a couple of blocking and tackling questions. What is your opinion on the value, like for e-commerce brands, right? What's the value of the landing page? Okay, let me rephrase. What's the value of a good landing page, high-performing landing page?
A ton. I mean, the landing page is where the rubber hits the road, right? we could do everything in our power. You know this. We could do everything in our power to drive the right audience at the right time with the right message. And if people get to your landing page and it's garbage, you're just wasting money. You're just throwing money after ads. One of the things that we offer that we do is conversion rate optimization. We use a Google tool called Google Optimize. And we offer landing page split testing where we will test element by element of the landing page and see what's working, what's not working. That could be changing a headline. That could be swapping out a hero image. That could be adding a different call to action. But yeah, it's critical. That is the most important part.
And of course, the other piece, which, hopefully marketing can manage, whether on the client side or the agent side or both sides, is that a compelling offer.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be some kind of offer, right? And of course, you got to have a relevant bulletproof product. So it seems like to guys like people like us, it's like, okay, a bulletproof product, a compelling offer, and a good conversion mechanism, landing page or otherwise. You know how to get people to the grocery store or whatever it is. And yet, these three items remain elusive.
Yeah.
How many times do we talk to clients and it's like, hey, your landing page sucks. It's terrible.
Yeah. We've been thinking about what we need to do as an agency to help control the entire process from pre to post click. And we've dabbled in conversion rate optimization, which I think gives us an incremental bump. But you're right. Sometimes they don't have an offer, or they can't do an offer for whatever reason, or they have a website that's garbage. And so we're always trying to consider how can we control and better manage the entire process, the entire customer sales journey versus just the pre and a portion of the post click. So yeah, it's tough. You got to have all systems running on high to make that conversion happen. It's, as you know, it's difficult. There are some things that are just out of your control.
Totally. Now, let me ask this. I got a couple more important questions, but the next important question is, Jim, how can people find you and Xtropy?
Yeah, great question. You can find us online at xtropy.net, xtropy.net. You can find me on LinkedIn, or you can email me, jim@xtropy.net.
Jim Hammerel, everybody, Hammerel. And now here's a couple of I'm gonna toss you a couple of interesting questions here. Jim, what is your favorite drink in the evening hours?
Here in Jackson Hole, we have a local brewery who is a certified B Corp. They're called Roadhouse. Delicious. Every 6 months or so, they come out with a new hazy IPA that I love. Oh, it is so good. They are on volume 6 of this line of hazy IPAs that they put out, and I love. In fact, I'm having one after work today. It's Friday.
So you should definitely, you and I should definitely reach out to Roadhouse Brewery and tell them that Jim Hammerel gave them a shout out on the Firebelly for their amazing hazy IPA, volume 6, by the way, which we're going to be drinking after work.
Can't wait.
And what is a fun activity? When you are happy with your day, or when you're done with your day. If you're not happy with your day, you're done with your day or the week. What's a happy activity for you?
Duncan, I've got a lot of happy activities. My favorite is just being outside, skiing in the wilderness, peace and quiet and tranquility, natural beauty all around me. That's my zen, Duncan. How about you?
I love to cook. And I love great conversations. So really the podcast for me is, it's a fun way to do what I enjoy doing, which is having, a meaningful conversation. I lose track of time when I'm having a really great conversation. So, and you and I have had those, so we know how that goes. It's like,
it's awesome to get lost in the Duncan conversation, for sure.
Likewise. And for our listeners, I know one of the things you want to pay attention to in 2022 is the new Top Gun movies coming out. And in this Top Gun movie, Jim does not have a role. although even though he doesn't look it, but he was in the first Top Gun, playing the role of Tice. And so, a lot of people don't know that, whenever Val Kilmer was littler, that Jim was a stand-in double for Val Kilmer. So
it's funny. I've gotten 2 Iceman comments in the last 10 days. So yeah, something must be going on. It's been a long time since I've heard an Iceman comment, but yeah, 2 in 10 days. I'm on a roll.
Especially when he puts those Ray-Bans on and he starts walking with his resting face. So it's like, well, thank you so much, Jim. Everyone, Xtropy.net. Jim Hammerel is an amazing guy. If you need some help with your Google approach in general, he has the right connections to get you going on organic and can take care of your paid efforts, produce some amazing results for you. He does great work for Firebelly and for some of our clients. So get a hold of him. And this is brought to you, the Firebelly Social Show is brought to you by Firebelly, where we help brands do great things on social media and be more likable. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and see you on the flip side.
Thanks for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.